toxic. As a matter of fact, the majority of those chemicals is toxic. So a green product is not determined as to how much VOC it has, but rather than how many toxins are in there. Yeah. So if we really want to look at it with a magnifying glass, we have to look at each and every ingredient that is in a product and say, will this be beneficial to your indoor air, or will this be bad for your indoor air? And if it's bad for your indoor air, it will be bad for your health.
In our previous discussions, you were both talking about the distinction between indoor air quality and off-gassing, or indoor air quality versus paint, but they're connected, even though they're different. And I was wondering if you can explain the context of off-gassing from paint, and also when you first walk into a building that's been freshly painted versus walking in 5 or 10 years from that point. Does it really matter?
Well, VOC means volatile organic compounds. They are evaporative, yeah, and a lot of solvents will evaporate within a relatively short time period, let's say 2 to 8 weeks or 2 to 10 weeks. Those are the fast evaporating solvents, but during that time you have those solvents in your indoor air, and you breathe them, and this can be enough to make you sick, possibly for the rest of your life. There are other building materials like composite woods and plywoods, which contain synthetic resins, and attached to those resins can be formaldehyde and other chemical substances that are toxic, that can evaporate over a time of 10 to 15 years. So you have the quick-releasing solvents, and you have the slow-releasing resins and solvents that will really last a long time.
When you started the business, you started not by a fluke, but kind of by serendipitous event. You talked about how your mom was really advanced in health and in food. Talk a little bit about the inspiration for the business.
Well, the inspiration came really from my parents. My mother was into organic gardening already in the 50s, and she raised me vegetarian, healthy, and so on.
And healed your father from tuberculosis with diet.
Wow.
After the war, he had tuberculosis, and they completely changed their diet, and she pulled him out of it without medication.
That's amazing.
No, she was amazing.
Anyway, so in the 80s, when my parents retired, they decided to move away. They had a factory, and they were living right next to the factory. It was very noisy. They decided to move away from there and build their own house. So that was probably in 1980, 81. And my mother did some research as to what she wanted her house to be, and she really made some good choices as to what building materials to use. And also in the early 80s, there were some paint or natural paint pioneers coming out with some oils and things like that. So built on that idea, I came to America also in the early 80s. I said, well, I think this is an idea that we do not have in America yet. This is something I want to pursue. I want to offer this. There was no market for this, and when people say, well, a natural wood finish, what is that? They were laughing at me.
That's what happens when you're ahead of your time.
I had people laughing at me for 15 or 20 years.
I understand.
And I stubbornly...
Oh, they still are.
I stubbornly, yeah, but you might. They stubbornly stuck to their ideas and said, oh, that's never going to happen. That's something, it's ridiculous, and so on and so on. And I bet you once it came into the big boardrooms of the paint manufacturers in the 90s that there are developments of healthier paints and so on, they said, we don't need to deal with that. Yeah, and they're still probably on the same level when it comes to offering a health product.
Absolutely. I was going to say even the health food stores, there's a lot of packaging that says natural, healthy, this, and there's stuff in there that shouldn't be in there. And you really still have to read the ingredients.
The health food industry is a very good
example.
And there's a lot of parallels there that are very interesting. Like we have now a health label that says USDA approved. It's not a very high organic level anymore. Even companies like Whole Foods, they buy vegetables from China. Now, I wonder what is healthy about buying vegetables from China, where you can't even control whether it's organically grown or not,
or what kind of water is being used on it.
The USDA approved label, but the product itself is not a high level. The same thing happens in the paint industry and the housing industry. Companies import not only paint and paint ingredients, they import drywall from China. There recently has been a big stink about this drywall in New Orleans, where they were trying to rebuild New Orleans and had to tear down the drywall again because it was full of formaldehyde and toxins, because they were using fly ash from the coal power plants, which was full of sulfur and other toxins. So they had to take it out again because people were getting sick just from the drywall alone.
I totally believe it.
Coming back to
paint,
to paint, our paint compares to
no one's paint
to mainstream green paint, like USDA approved produce from China compares to organic produce that you buy on the farmer's market.
Wasn't it a challenge, and is still a challenge, doing what you're doing at the level you're doing it with paint? Because the public's not fully aware yet.
Not at all. Not even close. They're not educated yet.
It is still a challenge. We have several challenges. We're chronically underfinanced. We don't have enough volume to justify manufacturing right here on the premises yet, I say.
Yes.
And we are buying raw materials that are higher priced than the paint industry uses and buys. So we're running against windmills like Don Quixote, because we're trying to sell something for a higher price where the industry says, buy our stuff. It's the same. It's just as good. It's no VOC, and it's like 30% less.
Yeah, but your time has come. Your time is now. All the work that you did is going to be well worth it, because there are people who are waking up and have awakened and are ready for you. There are builders that are ready for you. There are designers that are ready for you. There are architects ready for you. There's all kinds of contractors that are ready for you now in all parts of the world, all parts of the United States. And I'm absolutely delighted that you're doing what you're doing. I'm fascinated that you have a clay paint. Can you talk a little bit about it, Amrita, and then we'll go back to you, Rudolf?
It is a product that no one else makes. It is a clay-based paint, and clay has been used in buildings and building material for thousands and thousands of years. Clay has properties that no other types of paint has. Clay absorbs odor. It regulates moisture. It absorbs moisture and releases moisture, so it keeps a constant in the room, a very comfortable constant. And it gives you an ambiance, a nuance in your space like no other paint. It gives you an earthy feeling. Even though we can get vibrant, beautiful colors from our clay paint, you still get that clay feel.
Is all your paint clay, or you have a line that's
We
clay?
have other lines of paint that we manufacture. Clay paint is one of them. It is our most popular. I am sold out of it completely right